So my name is Peter Zeil, and my best greetings to the morning in the Pacific. So this is the Copernicus Emergency Management Service. And as you have seen already in Anne-Kathrine's presentation, this is one of the 6 services which is provided by Copernicus. Now, the Emergency Management Service is operational since 2012 already. So this is 10 years by now. And it is managed by the Joint Research Center of the European Commission as the entrusted entity. Now, the purpose is actually to support all actors involved in the management of natural or man-made disasters. And the coordination is through the Emergency Response Coordination Center at DG ECHO in Brussels. Now, the full portfolio of the Emergency Management Service you see here. Yeah, it is on the one hand the mapping component, which is rapid mapping in the case of disasters, and it is risk and recovery mapping, which is more directed to preparedness or recovery. And then you have a full range of early warning modules, one for floods, for fires, and for droughts. And all of these three have also a global component. And new to the portfolio is actually the exposure mapping, which is the combination between the human settlement layer, which is the built-up areas, and the population together with risk data. Now, the mapping service is actually, as I said, composed of 2 elements: the emergency response, where you actually get information more or less immediately. We will see later what immediately means, depending actually on the availability of data. And the risk and recovery part, which is directed to preparedness and recovery, which can take a little bit longer, because then the timeliness is not so critical. Now, the rapid mapping part is composed of several products. You have reference map, which is a pre-event reflection of the situation. And then you have the post-event mapping, which is the first estimate after 2 hours. That's the threshold. And then you have more detailed products, delineation, for example, in the case of floods, and grading, which is actually detailed damage assessment of the impact. And then you also have monitoring components in case it is needed. For example, the evolution of floods and also in regard to volcanic eruptions, for example. Now, the risk and recovery part is actually more detailed to, let's say, several working days or hours. And then for more detailed studies, it's a bit longer. Yeah. Now the workflow of the service, sorry, the workflow of the service is actually like this, that it is activated only through authorized users. The reason for that is that the Emergency Response Coordination Center needs to act very quickly if a request comes. And if the request comes through a known and therefore authorized user, the request can be handled more quickly. Now, the non-authorized users, including international users, can actually activate through the ERCC or, I mean, through the EU delegations in the countries. And you see here that, I mean, the service request is actually standardized through a request form. It goes to the coordination center, and if the request is accepted, then the center will issue a service request form, and then image providers and map producers start acting and produce actually then making the products available to the users. Now, the early warning component is, for example, for floods, there is a global component, the component which is kind of restricted to Europe is EFAS, and the global component is CLOFAS. And here you see that actually the forecast is dealing with all sorts of different floods, riverine floods, and related to large catchments. And what is new now is actually the continuous flood monitoring based on the radar data of Sentinel-1, which is globally available. The other aspect is the monitoring of droughts and early warning into that, yeah, which is based actually on soil moisture data. And here you see also that these forecasts are actually provided on a global level and provided actually through the Global Disaster Alert and Coordination System, GDEX. And the third one is actually the forecast for fires, wildfires. And this is an initiative through GEO, NASA, and the TRC. This is not yet fully integrated into the CEMS, but this is ongoing. And here you see that you have as a main output the fire danger forecasting, then the active fire detection through low resolution but high repetition satellites, and then you also are provided with near real-time burned areas, but on a coarse scale. And this is also provided in so-called fire regimes for country profiles. The new element is actually the exposure information, and here the combination is between the built-up areas, the population, and then, I mean, the hazard information. And you see here that, I mean, quite a number of initiatives actually are drawing on this information. And here you see an example. The input is actually optical data, Sentinel-2, and also radar data, and then population census data. And the output of the global human settlement layer and the risk information is actually provided at a relatively high scale, at 10-meter resolution. This is, as we know, I mean, information which is especially not only for emergency management, but also for risk reduction is in particular important information. So you can find out more and explore actually more in detail this information on the website of the Emergency Management Service. And you see the website here. Just allow me to show 4 more slides, which is actually showing products of the service in the region, in the Pacific region. I just have to change here my slides. Okay. Can you see the slides?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Now, this is a product from the volcanic eruption in Tonga. And here you see that the information provided in this frame here is the area covered by volcanic ash in gray. And then you have detailed areas which actually provide information on damage assessment. I just show you the detail of the methodology which is being used here for damage assessment. You have pre-event high resolution data, and then you have post-event high resolution data, and the difference is being used for actually assessing the damage. This is the legend actually of this map, and here you see that you're not only provided with an let's say an image type map, but actually all the layers on the map are actually provided in GIS format, but also an assessment of the area being affected, the number of destroyed or damaged objects, and the sum of this. The last example I wanted to show you is a very recent example from the floods in Queensland in Australia. So this is from the 15th of May. And here you see a typical flood assessment, whereby the base is actually Sentinel-2 data, and the flood extent is derived from radar data. Okay, I stop here. Thank you.